Hey guys, Stixius here. I do apologize for the long wait it's been on this build. Here I am with the Necromancer tank for the Unchained build that I used in a video about 3 to 4 weeks ago. Probably a little bit longer, honestly. I do apologize for how long it's taken to get the build out for you guys. Just had some unfortunate events occur recently in my life and just been needed to get those addressed and take a little step back for a moment. Positive things about this build is, of course, being able to do Unchained on it is a fantastic aspect for it. It is very successful as a build. It is very different compared to what you normally have seen in these types of builds, and that's why I'm wanting to showcase this and the amount of amazing group utility as well as variety that you can get out of this build. So let's go ahead and start off with our stats, which when we look at our stat sheet, we are, of course, we have 34 attributes into Magicka with 30 into into health. My apologies, I almost said stamina. We are sitting at 15,000, 1,550 Magicka recovery, just to help bolster that sustain for the mag recovery, which of course only gets bolstered when we have our pet out to about 1,772. We are running the Bewitched Sugar Skulls as well as the Lord Mundus Stone. You can run the Atronach if you want to push that mag recovery even more. But at the moment, this is how the build's designed. With the Bewitched Sugar Skulls, just to give us a nice little tri-stat bonus for our max health, max magicka, and stamina, and a little bit of health recovery is always a plus. We are a Nord on this class. um, Now let's just go over our gear. In our gear, we are running a 5-piece Akaviri Dragon Guard. Main priority for this is because of how high and insane our ulti generation is. We are able to drop Colossus at an exceedingly high rate compared to any other class. With a strong enough Necromancer tank built around the aspect I have here, instead of groups that are requiring about 3 Necromancers to get 100% of the optimal uptime on the Colossus major vulnerability debuff, with how fast I can drop it on this tank here, you will be able to make it to where you'll only need 2. You and a DPS. The amount of ulti generation is just absolutely insane, and having the nice little additional cost reduction to just ease that a little bit is fine. However, you could absolutely just replace this without cost if you'd like to, but this build is designed for Akaviri Dragon Guard with a defending trait on our main hand. We are running a Sturdy Shield with a Prismatic Enchantment at the same set. We are running our Infused Crusher back bar with a Lightning Staff. The amazing thing about this build, which made it work so amazing in Unchained runs and more in dungeon content in general, or even trials, is the amount of debuffs and buff potential that you provide is insane. It was hard to design the build, and the reason why it's designed this way is because our best choices for what we could do to make the most of our build required we had to go on the mag side of things, so that way we'll be able to properly sustain and provide high uptime on our debuffs and buffs. We are running a 1-piece Shadow Rend as well as a 1-piece Chokethorn. Both of them just provide us with an additional one piece of mag recovery. That's the entire point of this, is just to get that additional mag recovery, keep that stat boosting up because we need our mag sustain more than anything. And the nice thing with our weapon choices, we're always going to be regenerating mag. If we had an ice staff, if we were to block with our staff, we would lose that mag regen. We do not lose any of that with this build, and the lightning staff on an off-balance target provides huge sustain return. So that's going to help out easing that a lot. We are running a 5-piece Ebon, which is one of the best sets for tanks, period. With a Prismatic Enchantment on it, just provides about another 1k additional health to your team, which can be a make or break for a lot of groups. With our jewelry, we are running all healthy with mag recovery on it, all for the Akaviri Dragon Guard pieces here. With our skills, our front bar, we are running Inner Rage, which of course is just our ranged taunt, which provides an additional synergy, which is fantastic for those DPS that are running Lochestes or people that just want to get that additional little bit of damage pushed out. This is an amazing taunt for just trying to excel that. You may be wondering, well, what about your Major Breach and Major Fracture? We'll get to that. We have Heroic Slash here as well, which depending on what type of build you're running, we actually did get poisons to replace this for the Unchained run, so that way we could run Silver Leash. You can get minor heroism poisons. They don't give the best uptime as compared to this, but for the Unchained build, I did run, well, for the Unchained run itself, I did run minor heroism poisons, which I should have some still that we might be able to go over with you. Let's see here. Yep, here it is, a traumatic poison. So it gave us a little bit, about half the uptime, a little bit like 40 to 50% of the uptime, but it gives us our minor heroism here, so that way you don't have to run Heroic Slash if you don't wish to. and then you would just wear Thurvican instead, so that we'll be able to get the minor mayhem to the AoE AoE minor mayhem that way. We are also running Necrotic Potency. This is our ulti generation machine. Just know that no matter what, even if there's other corpses on the ground, if you eat them, other people still likely be able to use them. But the main thing is as many of these we can eat, we are going to do, because the ulti generation from this is insane. This will easily double your ulti generation if done right. And with our build, we're constantly creating our own corpses as well. So even when we're in idle times waiting for a pull to happen, we can go ahead and make sure that we're getting constant ultimate generation. Next, we're running Deep Thoughts. I don't use this a whole lot, but it is there so that way we can get our mag sustain as well as health with the major protection that comes from this skill line, the Physic Order skill line. When you have it maxed out, you get 30% additional damage reduction when channeling, which this is a channel its entire time. We are running Hungry Scythe, which is by far the best heal we could have. The amazing thing about it is it's a big burst heal with a big additional bonus for 2k extra, up to almost 10k additional health if there's 5 targets, and it gives us a hot. The heal over time is amazing and helps ease out a lot of the damage we would be taking. Next, we're running our Glacial Colossus. We're mainly just running this because with the Necrotic Potency here, not Necrotic Potency, yeah, we also take 3% less damage than Necrotic Potency, that's a fun fact. But with our Glacial Colossus, with how cheap our ulti is, this is our major source of being able to provide damage for our group. Just nailing 8 seconds of major vulnerability once every 20 seconds, which with how much we can get this, we can usually drop it every 40 seconds to 45 seconds if we're cycling our ultimate enough. So it just provides tons and tons of damage, and it's amazing for nuking down bosses or giant ad pulls. In our back bar, we're running Renewing Animation, which I just typically run that as a means of providing ourselves resources when we're having a clutch moment kind of thing. All of our team's dead in the dungeon, pop them up, refill all of our resources at the same time, get back, keep fighting. The next thing we're running is Agony Totem. With Agony Totem, it will allow us to essentially give us and our allies minor protection, meaning we don't need Ransack either for minor protection, as we'll be getting it from our Bone Totem. The amazing thing about Bone Totem is this allows us to also have a Root CC on top of our Beckoning Armor, which we'll get to in a moment, because that does CC. But the thing is about this is not only will it fear them in place, but it provides our allies with an AoE synergy for 5 seconds to give minor vulnerability. So we have AoE minor vulnerability, and we already have high ulti generation for major vulnerability. So that alone combined is a 38% damage increase that the enemy's going to be taking. Next, we have Beckoning Armor. And with Beckoning Armor, this is going to be our main source of our major ward and resolve. So that way we'll be able to get that additional protection and also get an automatic chain pull once every 3 seconds to just wrangle in somebody. So that way we can melee, grab up ads, and over time we'll just bring in those ranged ones with us. Or however we decide to go about doing that, that is up to you. But Beckoning Armor is fantastic for helping manage the ads in majority of fights. Next we have Spirit Guardian, which is our great companion. For 16 seconds he will give us an additional 2.3k HP, almost 2.4. And when he's active we take 10% less damage because he takes it for us instead. And what's amazing about this is with our Necrotic Potency, our Beckoning Armor, and Spirit Guardian can create a synergy there. Meaning once every 20 seconds roughly, which you can trigger these early if you want to, like just reactivate the skill, it will create a corpse. Usually around like 5 seconds in or even earlier, a little later, typically towards the end of the duration. If you refresh it early, it still creates a corpse. So that way we can eat that corpse, get 6 extra ultimate each time we eat the corpse. And that's just a wonderful thing about it. Next we have our Blockade of Storms. We are running a Lightning Blockade, not only for the off balance, which is a major thing for our sustain if we need it, but it's because of the lightning damage we have an additional chance to proc Concussion, which is an extension of the minor vulnerability debuff. So that way we'll be able to have AoE minor vulnerability guaranteed from our synergy our allies can use here, but we also just have a passive potential to get people concussed and getting them to get minor vulnerability that way. And then the final portion of our skills is Unnerving Boneyard. And this is why we don't run the Sword and Shield Taunt, because we can get our Major Breach and Major Fracture in an AoE with this skill. And the nice thing is it can do a little more damage if we put it in a corpse. Our damage from it's not the greatest though, so I wouldn't stress that too much. But when allies are in it, it gives them another synergy, which when they use it, it deals 6,369 frost damage, which does scale stronger for them than it does us. So they'll hit 10 to 20k easily with this. And every enemy that's in that AoE that gets nuked by that, it's going to heal them for the damage done. So it's going to make them really strong and allow them to be able to just nuke out, get a bunch of additional damage to burn ads more, and then heal them as well. It's an amazing additional synergy. And with that, it provides us 3 synergies that we have in this build, being our Unnerving, our Totem, and our main Taunt. So that just provides us tons of group utility. We have tons of synergies. We have tons of debuffs. And it's just an amazing build. And when we're looking at our passives, just so you know what we're looking for, we want to get all of our Gravelord passives, which I'll just quickly scan over them here, so you can pause the video if you'd like to watch those. I feel like you guys are capable of reading those. And the nice thing about it is, like, this one's not necessarily necessary, this member, but it does provide it so you can do a little extra damage for your team, so that's up to you kind of thing. With Bone Tyrant, pretty much all these have a nice use. Wish Ghostly was more than a single target, but it's just an unfortunate side effect of it. This one as well, big sustain boost right here, because whenever an ally that an enemy you are in combat with dies within 28 meters, which is the same size as Eben, which is enormous, it restores 2k mag and stam for you. Well, not 2k, 200 mag and stam, so that's going to make your sustain even better when you're fighting lots of ads, which is what happened in the Unchained run, or any Unchained run. This one also makes it so when we have our Beckoning Armor up, we have 15% less dot damage taken, making us even tankier. And we get an additional 2% more health healing recedes for every Bone Tyrant ability slotted, which is 4% here. And then we get additional max health there. And of course, we do have a majority of these skills unlocked if we do wish to use them. This is a great purge if you need a self-purge, as well as cost reduction. Sometimes I do run this in place of Deep Thoughts here. But that's up to you. I mean, also, when they have a negative effect, you do more healing. So when you have a debuff on you, your Scythe is going to heal for more. So it allows you just to heal for substantially more. But what's nice is when you do have it on, essentially when you have this ability slotted, the Expunge and Modify, our Scythe, when we're low on health, has a 20% increase, like, critical chance. So that makes it really strong for being able to heal that. We also have this lovely ability. When you use an ability on a corpse, you generate 10 ultimate. This can occur every 16 seconds. Bear in mind, this stacks with our Necrotic Potency. That our Necrotic Potency will trigger this, and we get even more ultimate when we use it off of our little corpse. Our little ghost pal, whenever he goes down, we can pop this and get 10 more ultimate. When we have Blast Bones up, or Spirit Menders, Spirit Menders the only one we use out of this, we get an additional 200 mag and stam recovery. We want all of our Sword and Shield passives here. These are all just fantastic. If you want Ransack, you can use that if you didn't want to run Totem. We also have Absorb Missile. I would not recommend highly using this at all, but it is there if you do choose to use so. With our Destruction Staff passives, I can actually get another one of these. I'll do so. Main thing we need is just our Elemental Blockade, and the other one that's big is the Elemental Force, because that's going to help us proc Concussion, which is that minor vulnerability. But everything else is just kind of additional. It's like bonuses pretty much. Nothing truly required though of that, mainly just getting the Blockade. Of course, all heavy armor passes as we're wearing full heavy. With our Fighters Guild, you can get Circle of Protection, Silver Leash, so you have a manual chain pull on top of Beckoning Armor, so you can wrangle in more than one ad at a time sometimes. With Sigic Order, mainly for the Deep Thoughts, Concentrated Barrier passive, and Deliberation. With Undaunted, we want pretty much all these passives. Necrotic Orbs, so if you want to provide orbs instead of one of our synergies we have right now, or even Blood Altar, or Bone Shield if you want, but mainly with these bars, you don't have to swap out too much. This build has done VSS HM as well, so like Sunspire hard modes, all of them, Navintas, etc. has been cleared on this tank. The thing with support, you can get Purge, that helps out. We are, as mentioned, we're a Nord, and big thing, make sure you get your medicinal use times 3, which means you just need to get your alchemy to 50. The last thing we're going to go over is our champion points, which in the tower we are running 20 into Warlord and 13 into Sprinter. We're also running 56 into Tenacity and 49 into Arcanist. We are also running 66 Shadow Ward and 66 Tumbling, just to make our stam, since we're not a heavy stam, just to help ease that little bit of pressure when we are using our stamina. We're going to make sure we have high cost reduction on it, which is why our armor is all sturdy as well. With our blue CP, we are running 56 into Blessed, 56 into Elfborn, just to help make our heals strong and crit more. We're just running 56 Ellie Defender just because we do have a lot of lightning damage and things like that, so passive damage never hurts. You don't get too much more out of these other passes that you put into it, so I just push that to get a little additional damage as well as penetration for the group. One thing you can do though, instead of like penetration per se, which I mean I probably would keep that, but you could drop your elemental expert and put it into shattering blows. So like doing VMON, stuff like that, if you're with a progressing group, it allows you to put down more dots. That way you'll be able to chip away at shields on like the first boss if your group is having troubles beating through that. Every little bit counts. And then of course Master at Arms, we just have some in there, and 44 into Thaumaturge. With our red CP, which is pretty universal for majority of situations here, we're running 66 Ironclad, 26 Spell Shield, 49 Hardy, 49 Elemental Defender, 56 Thick-Skinned, and 24 Heavy Armor Focus. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions though, if you ever want to see any of these builds or get to know more about them, don't be afraid to leave a comment or even message me. I'm always on PCNA, or you can send me mail. My Discord's also public. If you'd like a link to that, if you would want to just chat, don't be afraid to mention it. I mean, we'll always try to help out the best we can. That's what my guild's for. But outside of that, though, guys, I hope you have a good one, and thank you for watching.